The world between worlds. A vast expanse of endless stars and swirling nebulae, where time and space converge. Within this mysterious realm, the Force weaves the threads of countless realities. Through its portals, we glimpse infinite possibilities, a galaxy where one decision can reshape everything we know. Here, in the world between worlds, we see the echoes of destiny fractured and reformed. The Force binds all living things, but in this place, it also reveals what might have been. Every portal opens to a galaxy far, far away. A galaxy familiar, yet wholly different, where the balance of light and dark shifts in ways unimaginable. Time, space, reality, the Force moves through all of it. And yet, even the strongest currents can be altered by the smallest moments. Now, we step into one of these realities to witness a galaxy shaped by a single choice. A place where history bends, futures collide, and the impossible becomes possible. And so, we are left to ask just one question. What if? Hello there, and welcome to What If Obi-Wan Learned Vaapad After Qui-Gon's Death, Part 2 of 2. Location, Coruscant, Jedi Temple. Time, 26 BBY. The bustling sounds of the Jedi T6 shuttle's engines could be heard throughout one of the hangars in the Jedi Temple as it was landing. The Council Masters were awaiting its arrival with excitement as they were interested in whether Obi-Wan and Anakin had successfully found the purple kyber crystals they had visions of. As the shuttle's ramp opened and hard steps could be heard, the Council, along with other Jedi, were even more excited. But the sight they would see was not anything they would have anticipated. They saw Obi-Wan exit the ship first, but he did not look the same as when he left. His Jedi robes were burned, and he had bruises all over, and the left side of his face looked like it had been burned with heavy scars on it. What came after Kenobi was even more surprising. Right behind him, a still tired Mace Windu was walking out of the ship, helping Anakin walk. Anakin also had bruises all over, and adding to it all, he was missing his right arm. Obi-Wan and Anakin were quickly rushed to the medical bay, as the onwatching Jedi were horrified at what they saw. The Jedi Council immediately called for a meeting. Windu first presented the two purple kyber crystals Obi-Wan and Anakin had successfully retrieved. The Council were happy to see that they had succeeded with their initial quest, but now they wanted to know what happened. Windu looked around the chambers, slowly making eye contact with every Council Master. He then spoke with a cold tone. Another Sith Lord. These words brought shivers down the Council Master's spines. And this time, there were no doubts in their minds. 5 years ago, a Sith Lord had emerged from the shadows after a millennia. They initially had doubts that they were strengthened by the fact that they had learned this from Qui-Gon Jinn. Of course, eventually, they faced the fact that the Sith are back, but not much could be done. Now that Mace Windu himself was saying this, and looking at Anakin and Obi-Wan, there was more than enough proof. The Council fully believed in Windu's words. After Windu had described the encounter with the Sith Lord in detail, the Council had heard enough. They acted immediately, starting an investigation into this matter, sending out Jedi in large groups all over the galaxy to search for any clues, and even wanting to address this to the Senate. Anakin and Obi-Wan would be treated of their wounds, with Anakin receiving a cybernetic arm as replacement for his missing one. Obi-Wan, however, had some scars that were permanent. His left hand had some small scars on it, but his face is what really drew attention. The left side of his face had a big scar going from his forehead all the way down to his neck, with a few smaller marks along the side of the big one. Obi-Wan would come to embrace this look further, solidifying him being called the two-sided Jedi, his right side being calm and collected, ready to defend with no scars, his left side furious with determination, ready to strike at anything with many scars. Both Anakin and Obi-Wan would also start using their new purple lightsabers, becoming even more popular among the Order, being the only current Jedi to be using purple lightsabers other than Mace Windu. Going over to the Senate building, Palpatine was sitting in his office with anger radiating off him. He was furious. He had every intention of killing those 3 Jedi and failed. He didn't even manage to kill the 13-year-old Anakin. Not only had he revealed himself to the Jedi, but he had failed to even kill one of them. This would be a big problem. Before Palpatine could continue to think to himself, he quickly had to change back to his Chancellor persona as Master Yoda, Windu, the official, stepped into his office. Palpatine had to suppress his anger after seeing Windu, the Jedi he had just faced hours ago. The Jedi were here to request a Senate session as they had some important news. Palpatine was adamant at knowing this news, so he kept asking the Jedi what it was they had to tell the Senate. The Jedi explained that the Sith threat has now become so great that they feel they must address it to the Senate. Palpatine was surprised after hearing this, but he let the Jedi do it as he didn't even think the Senate would care much, so he might as well just let the Jedi waste their time. The next day, a Senate session was called as Master Windu and Master Yoda stood together in a Senate pod. Windu started speaking to the whole Senate. Yesterday a new threat emerged, or rather a threat has returned. This threat is a great one to the Republic. This threat is the Sith. For millennia we thought that the Sith had gone extinct, but we were wrong. 5 years ago, a Jedi Master was killed by a Sith Lord on Naboo, but was killed himself. After this took place, we had no further leads, but yesterday a new Sith Lord emerged. I myself fought him alongside 2 Jedi. 2 Jedi that were almost killed, and we had to run for our lives. The Senate listened intently as Windu continued speaking. This Sith Lord is more powerful than anything I've ever seen. And before any of you think that this doesn't pose any threat to you or the Republic and is a Jedi concern, you should listen to what I have to say. Yes, the Sith are the ancient enemy of the Jedi, but they have also always been enemies of the Republic. But many centuries ago, they saw strength in numbers, fighting against the Republic and Jedi with armies. Now it seems that their ways have changed. The Sith now sit in the shadows, planning who knows what. And for all we know, a Sith Lord could be among us right in this very building. We don't know what the Sith are planning, whether they still see strength in numbers and are building up an army, or if their ways have truly changed. But the Jedi have launched an investigation into this matter, and Jedi all around are working on finding new information about the Sith's whereabouts. So I ask you all, I ask the Senate for support of any kind, as the galaxy and the Republic are in danger. The whole Senate was quiet after Windu stopped speaking. Windu turned to Yoda as Yoda nodded at him. Every single senator was in awe at Windu's speech. After another moment of the Senate being quiet, a clap could be heard. Then another, and another. In seconds, the whole Senate building erupted in applause. Masamida had to quiet down the Senate as a vote was quickly put in place. The vote quickly concluded in an 81% favor of diverting funds to the Jedi investigation. Palpatine just sat there in his pod, having to pretend like he's on board with this, but he was fuming on the inside. Yoda and Windu returned to the temple and informed the council of this new revelation. All of them were extremely surprised at the fact that the Senate so easily agreed with Windu, and the fact that the vote was so overwhelmingly in favor for supporting the Jedi was very surprising. Plo Koon then mentioned that this doesn't necessarily make the Senate good, but Windu's speech really got through to them. It made them afraid of losing their powers as senators. Master Yoda nods as he speaks. Right you are, Master Plo. But use this to our advantage we should. For now at least, on our side the Senate is. While this was happening, Palpatine had gone to his secret lair in the industrial sector. He was at the brink of exploding with anger. He thought that the Senate wouldn't care, and that they would simply brush off what the Jedi had to say. He had to contact Dooku about this immediately. When Dooku answered his master's call, he would sense his anger. Palpatine spoke slowly to Dooku, surprising him. After Palpatine explained the situation and asked what they should do about this, Palpatine simply answered, "Some plans need to be changed," as he let out a chilling laugh. Location? Coruscant, Senate Building, year 22 BBY. The Coruscant sun cast long shadows across the Senate landing platform as a Nubian starship descended. Senators Bail Organa and Mon Mothma stood waiting as Padme Amidala stepped off the ramp. Then, a sudden explosion erupted. The shockwave sent them sprawling, metal debris flying through the air. Padme hit the ground hard but was alive. Mon Mothma, shaken, pulled her to her feet. Bail groaned in pain, blood staining his tunic from shrapnel wounds. Smoke and alarms filled the air. The tremor from the explosion made the Chancellor's office shake. Masters Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Plo Koon turned sharply toward the window, their eyes looking onto the rising smoke. Without hesitation, they rushed out of the room, making their way toward the blast site. As they descended the Senate steps, Obi-Wan's sharp eyes caught movement. 3 figures darting across the rooftops. "There!" he shouted. He and Mace Windu immediately chased. Obi-Wan and Windu leaped into speeders, weaving through traffic, pushing their engines to their limits as they pursued the assassins. The figures moved with precision, vaulting over gaps and using grappling hooks to propel themselves between buildings. "They're trained," Windu said, his voice tense. Obi-Wan accelerated, leaping from his speeder mid-air, landing hard on the rooftop, rolling to absorb the impact. The assassins split up. Windu pursued 2 while Obi-Wan focused on 1. He reached out with a force, yanking the assassin backward. The figure tumbled, hitting the ground hard. The assassin thrashed violently, reaching for something in their mouth. "No you don't," Obi-Wan lunged, but it was too late. They bit down and a violent electric surge convulsed their body within seconds. They were dead. Obi-Wan clenched his fists. Whoever sent them made sure they wouldn't talk. Back at the Senate building, Windu returned minutes later. The other 2 assassins had escaped. He frowned, looking at the lifeless body before them. "This was no ordinary attack," he said. "The Sith," Ki-Adi-Mundi said grimly. "If they're involved," Plo Koon added, "then they stand with the Separatists." Or, Windu's expression darkened. "They're manipulating both sides." Yoda closed his eyes. "4 years we have searched, yet nothing we have found. Always hidden, the Sith remain." "If they can orchestrate a war without revealing themselves," Obi-Wan said, shaking his head, "then they are more dangerous than we feared." Behind them, Palpatine's lips curled into a subtle grin. "Then the Republic must be more vigilant than ever," he said smoothly. Elsewhere on Coruscant, the remaining 2 assassins moved through the underworld shadows, activating a secure holo-transmission. Count Dooku's image appeared before them. "The ship was destroyed," one assassin reported, "but the senators likely survived." Dooku's expression turned cold. "Then you must finish the job. If Amidala lives, you die." In the wake of the attack, the Jedi Council swiftly assigned protectors to surviving senators. Masters Shaak Ti and Luminara Unduli were placed under the direct protection of Bail Organa and Mon Mothma. However, due to the severity of the threats against Padme Amidala, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker were personally tasked with ensuring her safety. As they relocated Padme to a secure residence, Anakin found himself drawn to her once again. However, this time, he was more composed, more disciplined. His training under Vaapad had helped him manage his emotions, honing his focus rather than letting his feelings control him. Padme, still wary, sensed the change in him. He was still bold, still passionate, but his presence felt more stable, more in control. While ensuring Padme's safety, Obi-Wan was also tasked with tracking down the remaining 2 assassins. The Council authorized him to use all available resources, including the Coruscant Guard and Republic intelligence. However, the Jedi Master knew this was a race against time. Despite the Jedi's precautions, the 2 surviving assassins struck again. Late at night, a small probe droid slipped through the security net, releasing a swarm of poisonous centipede-like creatures into Padme's quarters. However, this time, Anakin and Obi-Wan were already on edge. Anakin, sensing something through the Force, ignited his lightsaber and sliced the creatures apart instantly. At the same time, Obi-Wan spotted the droid retreating. Without hesitation, he leaped out of the window, grabbing hold of it as it soared into the Coruscant skyline. Anakin quickly grabbed the speeder and took off after Obi-Wan. The pursuit led them through the chaotic skylines of Coruscant. This time, however, the assassins had no intention of being captured. As the Jedi closed in, the two assassins tried to separate, but Anakin used his increased mastery of Vaapad to push himself beyond his limits, accelerating his speed with precise control. He cut off one of them using his lightsaber to sever their escape route. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan leaped off the droid, flipping onto a nearby balcony where the second assassin had taken position. With speed and precision, he disarmed them, pinning them to the ground. Both assassins, now in Jedi custody, exchanged panicked glances. Then, before Obi-Wan or Anakin could interrogate them, a sniper shot rang out. A single blaster bolt from a distant rooftop silenced both assassins instantly. Obi-Wan's eyes darted toward the direction of the shot, just in time to see a Mandalorian-like figure taking off in the air. Anakin leaped onto a speeder, attempting to follow, but the figure's jetpack was too fast. He vanished into the depths of Coruscant's underworld before they could close the distance. Obi-Wan reported the incident to the Jedi Council. With both assassins dead, the only remaining lead was the bounty hunter. Following up on the toxic dart used in the assassination, Obi-Wan's investigation eventually led him to Kamino. Meanwhile, Anakin continued to experience disturbing visions of his mother's suffering. This time, however, he trusted Master Windu enough to confide in him. Windu, after careful deliberation, granted Anakin permission to go to Tatooine. Anakin and Padme traveled through the desert world, where he reunited with his mother just in time. Instead of being too late, he managed to free her from the Tusken Raiders before she died. This changed everything. Anakin didn't succumb to his rage, didn't slaughter the village. Instead, he led her to safety, ensuring she received a medical attention. For the first time, he felt a different kind of peace. While Anakin was on Tatooine, Obi-Wan discovered the clone army on Kamino, just as he had in the original timeline. But his investigation led him to Geonosis, where he tracked down Jango Fett to Count Dooku's hidden base. Upon attempting to send a warning to the Jedi, Obi-Wan was captured. However, this time, Anakin sensed something was wrong. Anakin decided to report this to the Jedi Council, instead of recklessly rushing to Geonosis. Anakin contacted Master Windu directly. Obi-Wan's in trouble, Anakin reported. He's on Geonosis. If I leave now, I might be able to delay whatever they're planning, or at least bargain for his life. Windu nodded. You will not face this alone, Anakin. I will bring reinforcements. Go, but be cautious. Help is on its way. Much like in the original timeline, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme had to fight for their lives on the Geonosian arena. But when things were looking dire, suddenly, out of nowhere, thousands of lightsabers ignited in the arena. Windu was not messing around, as he had managed to mobilize around 2,000 Jedi Masters and Knights, as he knew that the war would start here. The Jedi charged into battle, their lightsabers cutting down the Geonosian forces as they flooded the arena. The sight of so many Jedi igniting their lightsabers at once was a monumentous symbol of hope for the Republic. Meanwhile, the Separatists, realizing their plans were crumbling, scrambled to reassemble their forces. But the Jedi were already too far ahead. Though the Jedi had an advantage in numbers, the Geonosian droids were relentless, pouring into the arena to overwhelm them. The Jedi stood strong, their disciplined coordination and skill allowing them to hold their ground. But just as the battle seemed to shift in favor of the Separatists, the roar of blaster fire filled the air. The clone army had arrived. With the unmistakable sound of the Republic gunships descending from the skies, the clones dropped in waves, filling the arena with blaster fire that pushed back the droids. Their presence was a game changer, the precision and the discipline of the clones providing the much needed edge. The Jedi fought with renowned vigor as the clones formed up with them, creating a unified force that began to overpower the droids. Despite the overwhelming reinforcements, the battle wasn't over yet. Count Dooku, observing from his advantageous point, saw his plans were faltering. With a smirk, he began to retreat, heading toward an exit in the arena. But as he made his way out, he was confronted by Obi-Wan and Anakin, who had pushed through the chaos of the battlefield. Anakin and Obi-Wan shared a glance, their bond stronger than ever. Together? Obi-Wan asked. Together, Anakin affirmed. The two Jedi immediately pursued Dooku, cutting through the droid forces that tried to stop them. The Separatist leader was fast, but Obi-Wan and Anakin were faster, and they cornered him near the edge of the arena. Dooku drew his lightsaber, ready for the fight. Knowing he would have to face them both, the duel began, and it quickly became clear but Obi-Wan and Anakin were much stronger than Dooku had anticipated. Their training in Vaapad had taken them far. The strength of their bond, combined with their mastery of their respective lightsaber forms, made them a formidable duo. Anakin with relentless aggression, he strikes faster and more precise than ever. Obi-Wan, the calm and calculated fighter, used his mastery of Form 3 to defend and counter Dooku's attacks, anticipating the Sith Lord's every move. Dooku was no slouch, however, and his own skills were formidable. He fought with the precision and agility of a seasoned duelist, but as the fight progressed, he began to struggle. Obi-Wan and Anakin had grown so much in their training and their connection that they flowed seamlessly together, creating an unstoppable offense. Dooku struggled to keep up, knowing that he couldn't afford to be overwhelmed. But just as the tides seemed to turn in favor of the Jedi, Yoda arrived, a small figure cutting through the battlefield as his presence became known to all. The moment Yoda entered the arena, Dooku's eyes narrowed. He knew his time was running out. In a desperate bid to escape, Dooku unleashed all his power, forcing Anakin and Obi-Wan back with a massive surge of the Force. The Jedi were momentarily stunned, but they quickly recovered. Still, Dooku seized the opportunity to flee, using the chaos of the battle to his advantage. He sprinted towards the edge of the arena and activated his personal transport, a sleek and powerful ship that was waiting for him just outside the battlefield. Obi-Wan and Anakin immediately gave chase, leaping into a nearby gunship and following Dooku as he ascended into the air. The gunship tore through the battlefield, dodging blaster fire and debris as they pursued Dooku's ship. Dooku swerved and darted between explosions and the chaos of the ongoing battle, but Obi-Wan and Anakin were relentless. As they neared Dooku's ship, Obi-Wan and Anakin opened fire, their blasters hitting the engines of Dooku's craft. The ship sputtered and began to lose altitude, smoke trailing from the damaged engines. Dooku desperately tried to regain control, but it was too late. His ship spiraled out of control, but with a final desperate effort, he executed a controlled crash landing just outside the battlefield. The Jedi and clones soon arrived at the wreckage, but there was no sign of Dooku. He had managed to escape into the nearby rocky terrain before they would close in on him. His ship had been a decoy, and Dooku was long gone. Anakin and Obi-Wan exchanged a glance, frustration and determination in their eyes. "He escaped again," Anakin muttered. "We'll track him down," Obi-Wan said, his voice steady despite the setback. The war's far from over. The Clone Wars are in full swing, but they are unfolding much differently than Palpatine had anticipated. With Grievous's death at the hands of Obi-Wan early in the conflict, Palpatine's carefully laid plans are already in disarray. He had expected Grievous to serve as the Republic's greatest adversary for much longer, but instead, the Cyborg General's demise sets the tone for the war to come. The loss stings deeply, and Palpatine's frustration grows with every passing day. This is not how the war was supposed to go. Despite this, Palpatine's manipulations continue to spread. The Separatists, having been convinced to hate the Jedi, remain an ongoing threat. Throughout the war, the Jedi are seen as heroes. When Satine contacts the Jedi about help against the Death Watch, the Jedi act quickly, and the Vaapad trio is sent to Mandalore. They deal with the Death Watch, as Satine and Obi-Wan are reunited. Months into the war, Maul returns with his sights aimed at killing Obi-Wan at all costs. But Obi-Wan, now the master of Vaapad and Sarisu, quickly deals with Maul before he can even recruit his brother Savage Opress. And about 10 months into the war, Ventress is killed by Anakin and his Padawan Ahsoka Tano. Just a year into the war, Palpatine decides to start the Battle of Coruscant, diverting all Separatist forces to the attack. Palpatine was desperate for the Separatists to do better in the war, as he needed the war to go on for longer. The now very well-known Vaapad trio of Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Mace Windu engaged in an epic duel with Dooku aboard the Separatist capital ship. But Dooku gets overwhelmed very quickly by the sheer power of the trio. Obi-Wan strikes the final blow, and Palpatine's last remaining ally in the war is lost. This second blow devastates Palpatine. "I've lost Grievous and Dooku," he mutters to himself, unable to believe that his carefully crafted power structure is collapsing before his eyes. This is it. Everything is falling apart. Blinded by rage and fear of losing control, Palpatine becomes more erratic. The death of Dooku marks a point of no return. In a fit of desperation, he decides to take extreme action. He orders the immediate seizure of the Senate and declares his intention to solidify his power before the Jedi can get in his way. His blind fury drives him to this drastic step a year into the war, far sooner than he had originally planned. His plan now was to take over the Senate, and if the Jedi didn't agree with him, he would declare Order 66 right there and there. The Jedi, fully aware of the threat of Palpatine poses, cannot allow this to happen. Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker are dispatched to confront him. They arrive at his office, where they deliver a stern warning. If he continues with his plan, they will arrest him. By this point, Palpatine had also given up on trying to turn Anakin to the dark side, so he would not try to manipulate him here. But Palpatine, in his madness, is beyond reasoning. He declares that he will not be stopped. Windu speaks loudly. In the name of the Galactic Senate, you are under arrest. Palpatine grins and responds, I am the Senate, as he pulls his 2 crimson blades to him. The Jedi immediately ignite their sabers, at the sight of this. Obi-Wan speaks with a surprised voice. All this time, you were the Sith Lord we faced on Huracan. Palpatine doesn't answer, as he lets out a force scream and spins into battle. An intense and chaotic duel erupts in the heart of the Senate. Palpatine uses every ounce of his dark side power, but it is no match for the united front of the Jedi. The fight culminates in a final decisive moment where Obi-Wan strikes down the Sith Lord. As Palpatine dies, the galaxy finally learns the truth about his Sith identity. His manipulation of the war, the Senate, and the Jedi is laid bare for all to see. With the Sith Lord gone, the Clone Wars come to an end. The Republic is free from the grip of darkness, and the Jedi are hailed as heroes. The Senate, now no longer under the sway of the Sith puppet, begins to rebuild and restore peace. The Jedi Vaapad trio of Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker become the most renowned heroes of the Republic, as they fought decisive battles in the Clone Wars, defeated Sith Lords, and saved the Republic. In the aftermath, Obi-Wan and Satine, no longer burdened by the chaos of war, marry on Mandalore, and Anakin and Padme also now marry. Their love symbolizes hope for the future, a future now free from the tyranny that once threatened to destroy them all. The Jedi, having learned from their past mistakes, rebuild their order, stronger and wiser than ever. The galaxy enters a new era, one of peace, prosperity, and unity, as the Sith are no more, and the Jedi lead the way into a brighter future. And that is it for What If Obi-Wan Kenobi learned Vaapad after Qui-Gon's death, part 2 of 2. I just want to thank you guys, first of all, for the support on part 1 of this What If. Part 1 has done so well. There's so many likes, so many comments, so many views. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed part 2 as much as you did part 1. And as always, please do let me know in the comment section down below, any opinions that you have. If you liked this What If, if you didn't like it, what you liked about it, maybe what you didn't like about it, how I can improve this, maybe even, if I should improve the music volume, if I should make my what ifs longer, or if I should make my what ifs shorter, or, do you guys want the what ifs to be, in 2 parts in the future, or just one video without, without doing the whole part 1 and part 2 thing? Let me know in the comment section down below. I also take suggestions for what ifs, of course, in the comment section down below. And yeah, this was so much fun. This 2-part what if. This is my first what if ever. And, I'm just surprised at how well the first one did. So I just hope you guys enjoyed the second one as much as you did the first one. And, yeah, thank you just so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on those notifications for more of this, for more of this kind of stuff, for more what ifs. A what if will be coming out every single Sunday. I apologize, of course. This what if was supposed to come out on Sunday. Instead, it's coming out on Wednesday. I apologize for that very, very much. And I will recompensate by still releasing another what if on Sunday this week. And you guys will know what that what if is on Saturday. So I will still release a what if on Sunday this week. So, part 2 to this what if this week and another what if. I think that's a pretty good bargain, pretty good steal, if you ask me. Yeah. And, of course, remember to join our Discord server. The link is in the description. trying to expand our community on there. And if you guys want to support the channel and get exclusive perks, consider joining our Patreon, links in the description. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this just as much as I did. And anyway, this is the way, and may the Force be with you. Until then, I'll see you next time.
Hey, you didn't watch it? Well, check out the video on the left side of the screen, which is specifically recommended for you, or check out the playlist on the right of the screen, which contains similar videos to this one, made by me, of course. Hey, remember, subscribe.